Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Ala inna awliya Allahi la khawfun alayhim wa la hum yahzanun. Allazina amanu wa kanu yattaqun. Lahumul bushra fil hayati dunya wa fil akhirah. La tabdila li kalimatillah zalika huwal fawzul azim. Sadaqallahul azim. Yesterday we started a program on the emerald from amongst the treasures of Almighty Allah, the sweet scented rose from the fragrant garden of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the shining crown of our head, Imam Ahl Sunnat, Alahazrat Imam Ahmed Raza rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh. In yesterday's program, I talked about the birth of Alahazrat and the education they received from their father and luminous scholars. Inshallah, today I will talk about their writing and their works and their spiritual allegiance, i.e. their bai'at, and spiritual successorship, i.e. the Khilafat of Alahazrat. In the year 1294 Hijri, at the age of 22 years, Alahazrat became the murid of Imam al-Asfiya, Sayyidina Shah Ali Rasul rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh. Let me begin by telling you the beautiful incident surrounding the bai'at and Khilafat of Alahazrat. Once Hazrat Maulana Abdul Qadir rahmatullah alayh came to Bareilly Sharif. He invited Alahazrat to go with him to Mahrera Sharif with him. Alahazrat accepted his invitation and they both set off. When they arrived at the station, Alahazrat said, "I am receiving the scent of my Murshid." When they reached the Hanqai Barakati and entered, Sayyidina Shah Ali Rasul rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh saw Alahazrat and said, "Come in. I have been waiting your presence for a long time." Sayyidina Shah Ali Rasul rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh immediately made Alahazrat a murid and blessed him with khilafat and ijazat in all the Sufi silsilas. Hazrat Sayyidina Abul Hasan Nuri Barakati rahmatullahi alayh, who was also present at that time, he was also a great awliya and needed no introduction to Alahazrat. For the benefit of others who were present and to make them aware of the exalted ability, talent and status of Alahazrat, he asked Sayyidina Shah Ali Rasul rahmatullah alayhi a question. He's asked, "Hazur, the ritual here is that if any person comes and after becoming a murid desires to gain khilafat and desires to get ijazat, then we ask him to perform mujahida, which is a struggle in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We also give him dried bread to eat as part of his spiritual training. After this, if we find him worthy enough, then we grant him khilafat and ijazat in one or two silsilas. But you have blessed this young man with khilafat and ijazat in all of the Sufi silsilas, and even commanded him to look and verify at the kitabs which you have written. Why is this?" Sayyidina Shah Ali Rasul rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi answered with the following words, "O people, you do not know Ahmed Raza. Others who come here need to be prepared before gaining ijazat and khilafat. But Ahmed Raza Khan has come prepared from Almighty Allah. All he needed was a link, and this is why I made him a murid. I always teared through the fear of Almighty Allah that if on the day of Qiyamah he questioned me concerning what I have bought for him from this world, then I would have no answer. But today that fear no longer exists. If on the day of Qiyamah Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks, 'O Ali Rasul, what have you bought for me?' then I will immediately present him with Imam Ahmed Raza to my Creator." This highly spiritual incident alone explains the status of Alahazrat Azimul Barakat. Alahazrat rahmatullah alayh possessed immense love for their Pir o Murshid, and not only for them but their family members too. He also displayed his love for all those who had contact with them and respected them. Whenever Alahazrat went to Mahrera Sharif to gain blessings from his Pir o Murshid, he would remove his shoes at the station and walk barefooted. Whenever any person or representative arrived in Bareilly Sharif to deliver a letter or a parcel to Alahazrat, he would treat that person with great respect and dignity. He always addressed that person with respect, such as most respected representative. I would not allow that person to leave without giving him something to eat. Alahazrat rahmatullahi alayhi would personally go into the house to bring out food for that person. He even used to carry the dish or the plate on his forehead. If this is the respect that Alahazrat showed towards the representative of his Pir Murshid and his family, one cannot imagine the respect they had towards them personally. There were many murids and khulafa of Alahazrat. The khulafa of Alahazrat need no introduction to the Muslim world. The influence and the contribution towards the development of the Islamic culture and Islamic thinking have left its mark in the pages of history. Just for the sake of attaining barakah and blessings, I will discuss very briefly the life of one of the famous khulafa of Imam Ahmed Raza Khan. Hazrat Allama Amjad Ali Rizvi Rahmatullah Alayh was born in 1296 Hijri and passed away in 1367 at the age of 71 years. He is the author of the internationally renowned book Bahar-e-Shariat, which is in 18 volumes. This book contains a volume of information dealing with Hanafi law of fiqh and answers all the questions against it. It is presently in a handbook for all the Muslims institutions. This Khalifa of Alahazrat was one of the head advisors at the Department of Islamic Diniyat at the Muslim University. Once in Ajmer Sharif, a very critical problem arose among the Muslims, which threatened to destroy the iman of innocent Muslims. The Hindu Rajput of India began introducing many new beliefs and false innovations to such an extent that those who were illiterate began to follow many traditions. When Allama Amjad Ali Rizvi heard of this, he immediately went to Ajmer Sharif with a few of his students. He began teaching and making the Muslims aware of polytheism and false innovations that they were following. Through his hard efforts, the iman of many Muslims was saved and many non-Muslims also accepted Islam. Moving on to Alahazrat visiting the beautiful city of Medina Munawwara. Dear viewers, imagine the condition of the Ashiq-e Rasul, who is blessed with the opportunity of visiting the Roza-e-Aqdas of Hazur Nabi Pak ﷺ and placing his eyes on the doorsteps of Hazur Nabi Akram, Noor-e Mujassam, Qasim Jannat wa Kausar, Janab Mohammed Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. It was during Alahazrat's second visit to Harimain Sharifain that his aspiration to see Nabi Kareem alayhi salatu wasalam became very great. Continuously reciting Durood Sharif with great veneration and humbleness in front of Roza-e-Sharif, he felt confident of seeing Nabi Pak alayhi salatu wasalam. It was during the second night of their visit to the doorstep of Hazur Sayyid Alam that he was given the opportunity of actually seeing Nabi Pak alayhi salatu wasalam. On that night, Alahazrat, in a state of total submission, lifted his pen and began writing the naat in the praise of Hazur Nabi Pak alayhi salatu wasalam. They wrote, "Wo suwe la lazar phirte hain, tere din bahar phirte hain." The beautiful naat continues praising the beloved of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and ends with the following verse. कोई क्यों पूछे तेरी बात रज़ा, तुझसे शैदा हजार फिरते हैं. Here Alahazrat lowers himself to the extremes and addresses him as a dog of the beloved of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. But for respect purposes, the ulama have replaced the word dog with sheda, which means an ashiq of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. It is at this point when Alahazrat wrote this verse that Alahazrat was given the opportunity of seeing Hazur Nabi Pak alayhi salatu wasallam with his eyes and standing beside the beloved Roza-e-Aqdas. Yesterday we learned that Alahazrat gained proficiency, i.e. expertise in more than 50 branches of knowledge. With this, Alahazrat wrote many books on various aspects of Islam. Alahazrat was a genius writer. He wrote numerous books and treatises in Arabic, Persian and Urdu on diverse topics. Many people have translated the Holy Quran into the Urdu language, but the translation of the Holy Quran by Alahazrat is called Kanzul Iman. It is unique translation in the Urdu language. In the translation, one sees that Alahazrat used only words in the translation that are worthy for the attributes and the qualities of Almighty Allah and His beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is said that the translation of Alahazrat is not merely just a literal translation, but also the commentary of the Holy Quran. In the words of Hazrat Sayyidina Muhaddis Azam Hind Rahmatullah alayhi, it is not only the translation of the Quran, it is the Quran. I've taken just one example of a verse from the Holy Quran that has been translated by various persons and compared it with the beautiful translation of Alahazrat. I've taken Surah 93, i.e. Surah Wadduha, and verse 7 as an example. One translator, he writes, "And He found you lost on the way and guided thee." Another translator says, "And found thee examining, so He showed you the way." And Alahazrat, our Imam, says, "And He found you drowned in His love, and therefore gave you way unto Him." Look at the uniqueness and the cautiousness that is present in this translation of Imam Ahmed Raza. He abstained from using those words that may cause any disrespect and the dignity to the personality of Nabi Pak alayhi salatu wasalam. Imam Ahmed Raza, who is the sweet-scented rose from the fragrant garden of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, spent much of his valuable time writing poetry. His poetry consisted of Naat Sharif in praise of our master, Hazur Sayyid Alam, Qasim Jannat Qawsar sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and Mankabats. In all the Naat Sharif that has written by Alahazrat, it is evident that in his heart, his soul was drowned in the love of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His Naats were written within boundaries of the Sharia. Every stanza was filled with pearls of ihlam. Each verse and stanza of his poetry is the tafsir, the commentary of the Holy Quran and the hadith of Nabi Pak alayhi salatu wasalam. His poetry was mainly in the Arabic, Urdu and Farsi languages. Alahazrat's poetry was compiled to the form of the famous book Hidayat-e-Bakhshish, which means the gardens of forgiveness. His famous Naat Kitab is used throughout the world. Alahazrat's humble compilations are read by all those who wish to express their love for Nabi Pak alayhi salatu wasalam. Allama Sahib, one of the verses the Alahazrat wrote in Hidayat-e-Bakhshish, it is translated as, "Congratulations on being crowned King of Verse Raza. Wherever you have gone, coins have been struck in your name." Allah. And quoting on this stanza, Maulana Qari Nurul Hasan says that there are many illiterate and ignorant people who look at this stanza and accuse Alahazrat of praising himself in his poetry. But this is not true and mere baseless objections. He further explains that Hazrat Hasan Raza Khan Rahmatullah alayhi, the younger brother of Alahazrat, would often send his poetry to be corrected to Janab Dag Delvi, who was a famous and distinguished poet of their time. Their son used to take the poetry of Hazrat Hasan Raza Khan to Dag Delvi. One day he was about to leave to Dag Delvi, and Alahazrat said, "Dear nephew, where are you going?" He said, "I am going to Dag Delvi to give my father's kalam." Alahazrat presented one of his naats to him and said, "Ask Dag Delvi to rectify my kalam." The naat which Alahazrat sent was, "Unki mehak ne dil ke gunche khila diye hain, jis raah chal diye hain, kuche basa diye hain." When Hazrat Hasnain Raza Khan Rahmatullah alayhi reached Delhi and presented the naat to Dag Delvi, he looked at it and said, "This does not look like the kalam of Hasan Raza Khan. Whose is it?" Hazrat Hasnain Raza Khan replied that this is written by Alahazrat. On hearing this, Dag Delvi said, "You have brought the kalam of Alahazrat to me for correction. This is the kalam of such a poet who holds no place for any corrections. But since it is complete, I would like to write the final verse from my side. Please ask Alahazrat radiyallahu ta'ala anhu not to change it, as I am aware that he does not like anything written in his praise." After saying this, Dag Delvi wrote the verse, "Mulke suhan ki shahi, tumko raza musallam, जिस समते आ गए हो सिक्के बिठा दिए हैं, जिस समते आ गए हो सिक्के महकने दिल के.
MashaAllah, on that note, it's time to go into a short break. Don't go too far away. Keep watching Weekend with Noor TV.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Just before the break, I read the verse which is translated as congratulations of being crowned King of Verse Raza. Wherever you have gone, coins have been struck in your name. And many people accuse Alahazrat of writing this stanza in his own praise. But in fact, it was Dag Delvi who wrote this stanza and not Alahazrat himself. Commenting on one of Alahazrat's poems, Allama Sayyid Muhammad Muhaddis Kachochvi Rahmatullah alayhi said, once I had the opportunity of reciting the Qasida-e-Mirajiyah in my own style in a selected gathering of men of letters. I then asked them about the literary worth of this poem. Everybody was overwhelmed and they all exclaimed that the language is superb, pure and divine. The brightly shining sun of Bareilly Sharif, the coolness to the eyes of the ulama, the Mujaddad of the century, the Imam Abu Hanifa of his time, the Ghaus-e-Azam of his time, the sweet-scented rose from the fragrant garden of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, the shining crown of our heads, Alahazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayhi left this world on Friday the 25th of Safar 1340, which is the 28th of October 1921. It was the exact time of Juma Azan, and as Allama Sahib told us yesterday, it was the time of Hayya alal Falah. The date of Wisal of Sayyidina Alahazrat Rahmatullah alayhi was actually deducted by himself from the Holy Quran 4 months and 20 days prior to his passing away. At the time of demise of Alahazrat, a certain saint of Syria dreamt of the Holy Prophet ﷺ while he was in Baytul Muqaddas. In his dream, the saint saw many Sahaba Ikram seated around Nabi Pak ﷺ. All of them seemed to be waiting for someone. The saint says that in his dream, he asked, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, whose presence is being awaited? Nabi Pak ﷺ replied, Ahmed Raza Khan. The blessed saint then asked, who is Ahmed Raza Khan? Nabi Pak ﷺ replied, an alim from Bareilly. When this saint awoke, he immediately journeyed from Syria to Bareilly Sharif to meet Alahazrat. But to his dismay, he learned that Alahazrat had also already departed from this world. It is said by those true lovers of Alahazrat that after he passed away, he was spiritually transported to Madinatul Munawwara to be close to the Prophet ﷺ. They say this because once Alahazrat personally said that the time of demise is close and India is India, but I do not even feel like passing away in Makkah. My desire is this, that I should pass away with Iman in Madinatul Munawwara and then be buried with kindness in Jannatul Baqi. Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is most powerful. The Mizar Sharif of Sayyidina Alahazrat is situated in Bareilly Sharif in India. Each year in the month of Safar, during the Urs Sharif of Alahazrat, hundreds of thousands of Muslims from all around the world present themselves in Bareilly Sharif to partake in the Urs Sharif of the Mujaddad of Islam, Hazrat Imam Ahmed Raza Khan Rahmatullah alayhi. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shower His choicest blessings upon the Mizar-e Anwar of this great scholar of Islam. Just to remind you viewers, our phone lines are open. If you want to talk about today's topic, then please do call in. Our topic is Imam Ahl Sunnat, Imam Ahmed Raza Khan Rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi.
Jazakumullah khair. Thank you for that exclusive works that you've done. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you.